Bismarck Insights with Mayor Mike Schmitz, a transparent and engaging conversational dive into meaningful topics impacting local government in Bismarck, North Dakota. Bismarck Insights is dedicated to removing barriers between the City of Bismarck and the citizens we serve every day.
Welcome to Bismarck Insights. I'm Mayor Mike Schmitz, and today I have with me a new position to the city with Heather May, and the position's called Community Integration Facilitator, which is a mouthful.
It is.
But Heather, let's get the audience familiar with who you are and really what the concept of this position is.
Okay. Well, I have been in Bismarck for about 8 years. I'm from Ohio and lived there most of my life. The last 10 years I was in Ohio, I worked at the University of Dayton in their teacher education department, and I was an information specialist. So I was responsible for collecting, analyzing, and reporting all of the accreditation data for that department. I learned a lot about education while I was working there and took education courses. I also worked on my master's degree while I was there. So I have an English degree and took a lot of education courses specifically related to teaching English because I knew I was going to be joining the Peace Corps. And I was in the Peace Corps from 2013 to 2016 in China. I taught English to university students who were going to be future teachers. That was a great joy. I was thrilled to be there. I actually extended for that third year. And then when I was finishing my service, I started looking at what am I going to be doing next. And I knew teaching was my thing. I wanted to stay in education, and I learned about federal education jobs. And that's how I learned about Bureau of Indian Education work. Okay. I had never heard of that before. In Ohio, we didn't have reservations. I didn't learn a lot about the history of Native populations in this country. And I applied for a job at Fort Yates Public Middle School and was hired. So came pretty much from China to Bismarck and worked in Fort Yates for 3 school years as an English coach. I really enjoyed working with my students there, and I learned so much from them. During the summers, I was going back to China and training new volunteers how to teach English to Chinese students. And my third summer back there, I really learned adults are kind of where it's at for me education-wise. So I did not renew my contract with Fort Yates, but started looking for jobs in adult education here, and was hired at the state penitentiary to teach in the education department GED classes and English classes. Okay. So I was there during the pandemic. I started right before the pandemic hit, and we kept teaching. We were there every day still, working regularly during that time. I was there for 3 years. And as it was opening back up, I was looking for new opportunities, and a position opened up at the Adult Learning Center. So then I was teaching there for about 2.5 years, newcomers to the country who were learning English. People who landed 1 week ago to people who have been here for 20 years, still wanting to learn English. The position for this community integration facilitator caught my eye because of some struggles we're having with adult education in the state. And the struggles are with funding and being able to serve all of the people who want to speak English. Mm-hmm. So I thought this would be a way for me, I would apply for it if I would get into it. This is a way for me to start influencing some systematic change perhaps, or at least get the word out better about our immigrant populations and the services they really need to succeed here.
So let's talk about the position, because it's new to Bismarck.
Yeah.
We obviously have some grant funding that's assisting us to do this.
Sure.
And when it was presented to me by Holly Triska, I was excited because I thought, yes, we need this. I know that our population demographics have changed significantly in the last 10 years for sure.
Yes.
And we have a much more broad base of cultural individuals coming from all kinds of countries who are here appropriately.
Yes.
Let's make that known.
Yes.
So people who are here appropriately.
Yep.
They've gone through the processes. But they need to be integrated into our community.
Yes.
Part of that is this. So what are we doing? How are we helping them get integrated?
How are we helping them get integrated? Well, first, I want to say the position does not exist to be a case manager or to work one-on-one in assisting individuals. Although, in my interactions, I keep hearing, when I say, what do we need? They say, a one-stop shop. I need a line, I need a person I can call and ask, how do I do this? Where can I go for this? And that's something that doesn't exist yet. People who come through the refugee program have supports. They usually come through Bismarck Global Neighbors, or they come through churches or family sponsors. But we have a lot, as you said, we have a lot of people coming through proper channels, but maybe they heard that this was a good place for jobs, or they heard that this is a great, safe city. So they come here on their own, and they don't know where to find help. The purpose of this position is to work with those who are helping the individuals and the city organizations, state organizations, and other groups in town who have services to offer, to make sure that the communication is going back and forth, to make sure that the helpers know all the services that exist, and also that the service providers know what are the challenges and issues that the population is experiencing. So when I interviewed for the position, Jason Tomanek described it as being the middle tinker toy, the hub of all the information. So I'm gathering all the information in and sending it back out to the proper channels.
And that's working with those organizations that are bringing new residents?
Yes.
It's working with the school systems, it's working with city government, the state government, and various other providers of services. Could be a hospital, could be whatever. Right?
Exactly, yes.
And so that's critical. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of moving parts here.
There are a lot of moving parts, and the position was placed in the Department of Public Health, and that was such a great starting point because my supervisor set up meetings with all of the leaders within public health for that first week that I was here, so that I could learn what are the services and what do we do. And then my second and third week, she had set up meetings with leaders in different city departments, so I could learn what services do we have across the city. And every meeting I had led to one or two other, oh, you should meet this person. Oh, have you met with X organization yet? So I have an ongoing list of contacts to make. I still have 30 contacts to set up.
Well, and you're relatively new.
Yeah.
I mean, how long have you been with us?
I have been here since August 12th.
So, again, as I stated, relatively new to the organization and certainly to this position, which is a brand new position.
Yes.
And I know that I think there's maybe one or two others in the state of similar nature, but we're all kind of starting this at almost the same time.
We're almost starting it at the same time, and one of the beauties of the team, of the way the state has worked to help cities structure this, is each of us is in a different department in the city, and we each bring different strengths, but we have biweekly meetings. So we're really sharing information of, what's working here, have you found this, what's going on there. We're kind of, our cities are very different across the state.
Very.
And that's okay. And we're having a really rich conversation and really thinking in new and interesting ways about how to do our work because the cities are so different. Sure.
So what do you think is I don't know how to ask the question probably, but you're roughly 2 months in, 2.5 months in, kind of have your feet on the ground, but so this might be a hard question, but what do you see the position to evolve into, or what do we need to, maybe it even comes down to what do we need to try to accomplish as a community?
Sure. Oh, that's a big question. I kind of see three specific lengths of projects, if you will. Long term, we want the information to be out there, and we want it to be accessible. We want people to know about the services, and we want people to be successful, I would say, in whatever way they determine success is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's improving English, maybe it is starting a business here, maybe it's bringing their family here and really, thriving here as a family unit. So long term, one of my goals is to create a sponsor guide, and that's just like a place where all the information sits.
Yep.
Kind of like someone could say, I'm a helper or I need help. And then you just keep drilling down. I need help with housing, I need help with insurance, I need help with whatever. And some of those resources exist in ways, but they're not totally fleshed out in ways that would be accessible to our newcomer population. That's a long-term project. Then I have some short-term projects like working with the New American Leadership Network. That's a year-long project that the chamber's running, and I attend those meetings monthly. Just helping them to make connections, and if there are any struggles with English, kind of assisting as I can as an educator there. And then we have these short-term, we're going to talk about these later, the multicultural kind of integration events that are going on around town.
Okay. How do we, or maybe I ask the question then, where do you see right now the gaps of services? I mean, obviously, if we could have one center place where everything could be, that's probably a very long-term goal.
Absolutely.
But what gaps do we have for those services right now that these people need?
And this is across the state, the three answers, and they're the same for our English-speaking populations too, and that is transportation, childcare, and education. If you are a newcomer landing here, you may have some English skills. You probably need to buff them up to get a decent job. You might not have any English skills. You might not have even learned to read and write in your own first language. So that first step has got to be education. Refugees are assisted for 6 months by the state. That's the federal programming. That's how the guidelines are laid out. So they have a little bit of time to invest in education, and actually part of their requirements are to attend English classes for those first 6 months. But think about attending those classes. So you're attending English classes. If you have kids at home, who's watching the kids? You have to find childcare. And we know across the state there's not enough childcare options. So that's being worked on at higher levels. And then how do you get here? You can ride a bike, you can walk, but it's a challenge to get to classes sometimes if you don't have a bike yet, or if you can drive but you don't have a car yet. We know we have a shortage of bus drivers here. The buses aren't always reliable. The buses don't always run for evening classes. They can get there on a bus, but how are they going to get home? And it takes a long time. I don't know if you've ever ridden the bus here.
I have not, but I've heard.
But yeah, you've heard. If you're in certain parts of the city, it could take an hour and 15 minutes just to get to the Adult Learning Center on the campus of BSC. So it can be a real-time challenge too.
Okay. And so you're building these relationships. That's part of the job amongst all the service providers, as well as the sponsor groups or the individuals who maybe aren't even sponsored, but just finding a space for them to get there.
Yes.
How's that going so far?
How's building the relationships going?
Yes.
Oh, well, as I said, every person I've met has said, how have you met this person? Do you know that person? I guess I should say my closest working partners at this point are Bismarck Global Neighbors, because they are directly sponsoring most of the refugees. I attended one of their staff meetings at their professional development, and actually 3 of their staff are involved in the New American Leadership Network. And I communicate with them regularly. My second most common contact would be the Adult Learning Center. I'm there weekly, at least, dropping off things about new events or services around town. I was able to substitute in one of their classes last month, and I'm hoping to get into classes once a month. Actually, what I did last month was I demonstrated the city webpage and showed all of the places they can go to find the resources, and showed them how to translate each page as we dug into it.
Okay. That kind of leads me, maybe there was a survey that's been done.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about what those results of those surveys were when it comes to that was put on, actually, I believe, at Bismarck Adult Learning Center.
Yes.
The results say.
Yeah, so the results say, well, I want to set some ground here. So we had, I went to a morning and an evening class. We mixed the levels, so they were students who were from pre-literate all the way to advanced. The advanced students helped the pre-literate students, and I gave them a green Post-it and a pink Post-it and said, on the green Post-it, write things that are good about Bismarck, and on the pink Post-it, write some challenges about Bismarck. And then they went and stuck them on posters. So we had 30 respondents, and 30 respondents made 86 positive statements about Bismarck. And the broad categories of positivity were, the first one was about the city. It's clean, it's quiet, it's a peaceful place, there's not too much traffic. And then the next highest, surprisingly, was environment. And a number of them said they enjoy the winter weather, but they also really liked, excuse me, they liked our parks, our nature, the beauty of the scenery here. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing was the people. And everyone who responded about people said they were nice, friendly, good people. Then we had some kind of outlier comments that I thought were kind of funny, like, there are beautiful women here. That's a good thing about Bismarck. And then the negatives, those same 30 respondents only had 45 negative comments, and I'm going to say 40 because 5 of the comments were, I don't have anything bad to say, or they just didn't write anything.
So
I don't have any issues.
I mean, I expect there should be some challenges.
Sure.
But to find out that there were more positives than challenges is a good thing.
It's a good thing, yeah.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. And, you know, the biggest category of challenge was half of them said the winter weather. Well, there's nothing we can do about that.
Right.
So that's okay. And then the next challenge was transportation. The next highest challenge was transportation. Whether it was about the struggles to get places with the bus or not having transportation, to construction and traffic, or to being remote, not being able to get to other large cities as easily as they would like. And then the miscellaneous, a miscellaneous comment that kind of amused me was the nightclubs closed too early. And that was just one person who said that. And then a comment that someone had was, what I don't like about Bismarck is the people who don't know how to drive. They always cause traffic and lots of crashes. So that would be compared to, compared to wherever they grew up.
Sure.
For someone to think that we have a lot of traffic, they must have been from a pretty small place, I think.
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've been in other countries and I would say our traffic flows pretty well here.
Absolutely. Yep.
But if you're coming from a very small rural community in some country or state, our traffic probably is chaotic.
It is.
Let's talk about transportation a little bit because
Sure.
I know it was on the ballot to a certain degree.
Yes.
For some funding for
and passed. Yes.
Passed, and I mean, I'm going to have personally, I have some expectations if we're going to have this money available. Some routes probably, but what were did they give you any feedback as to the struggles around that, the routes or the availability? I mean, and part of the struggle we have is we know that the buses that we have in the system right now are large.
Yep.
And they're usually not very full, but maybe there's a reason they're not full.
Sure. It's kind of a chicken and an egg situation, I think. If you know the bus only comes once an hour or once every hour and a half, it might not be at the times you need it.
Okay.
At the same time, so not everyone's taking advantage of it, so you're not going to have enough riders. Mm-hmm. I feel like you might have to take a chance to increase the amount of runs the bus is making. Maybe it's running every half an hour. Maybe it's running, when I lived in China, our buses ran every 15 minutes. I could just go stand at the stop. I knew I was never going to stand there longer than 15 minutes. So increasing the number of them, I would think would increase ridership. Number two, getting the education out there and letting people know that the bus will stop anywhere on the line. A lot of people don't realize that if you go and stand on any corner and wave it down, the bus will stop. Like, that's part of the routine. They think they have to be at a bus stop, and that's a cultural shift or cultural piece of education we have to make. The other thing is with our shortage of drivers, I had a lot of students who did live on the blue line. When we're short a driver, the blue line is the first one that gets pulled, and I'm assuming that's because it's the most downtown, the most concentrated one. It's got the shortest distance, so people could walk. But if you're having people coming from warm weather countries who aren't used to our winters, they're not going to walk that mile to get to school or to get to the store or whatever they need to get to. They're going to wait.
So frequency or is one of the issues.
Frequency, yeah. Education is another piece, absolutely.
And frequency, and obviously driver shortage is part of an issue with that, granted, and I will give that as a potential challenge
sure.
to overcome. What about are the routes too long, or would they prefer that there be shorter routes, but they may have to make changes?
Yeah, we should do a survey. We should do a survey with the populations most likely to be using the bus.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the cost to the user?
Yeah, I think the cost is reasonable. Number one, I think the cost is reasonable. Number two, anyone who's enrolled in classes, and this is whether it's GED or English classes at the Adult Learning Center, can get a free bus pass each month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments that kind of came out of the survey, or as you were in class that maybe didn't get written down that you heard?
Let's see. I did want to read this one, positive one. Someone said, Bismarck is a nice and calm place. I live there because I have small children and I feel like they are safe. And as a teacher, when I was there, that's what I heard. You know, when I would say, why are you here? The weather's not great. There might not be a lot of opportunity for you. No, it's quiet. It's safe, teacher. Think about where people are coming from, where refugees are coming from. They're leaving there for a reason. It's not safe. And they really like that about us.
Probably this is part of this, and you've already discussed some of the barriers, but are there other barriers that these new Americans to our community are feeling, seeing, whether it's economic or social participation type things? And you started to mention a part of that from the social interaction.
Sure. Yeah, if they're coming, and I'm going to address particularly a group that I am concerned about, 18 to 30-year-olds. They have probably finished school in their country. They're too old to go to high school here. They don't have enough English to go to college yet. So they might be taking classes at the Adult Learning Center, or they might have to go to work right away. They are pretty isolated. They don't know, culturally, they don't know about events and activities and popular recreation here. I would really like to focus in the future on programs and activities for them to help them integrate culturally. I would also like to provide opportunities for them to share what do they do in their countries in their free time. And my sense is that a lot of them have had more free time in their countries. Maybe they don't work as long of hours, or maybe work and life are more integrated. You know, maybe they have a shop and their shop is in their neighborhood, and part of their work, that is their shop, is socializing throughout the day with people. It's not like that here. Right. It's a big shift, and I wish we had actually more cultural orientation to help them make that shift. That's a missing piece too.
So talk about this. You brought it up earlier, and I'm not going to use the right phrase, but okay. the socializing or the networking or the social groups, or how do we help them integrate into the community from that standpoint, or where are the missing pieces for their cultures? And I'm probably not asking the right question here, but
you're asking big questions, and that's okay. No. I always go back to education. Education is such a big piece. At the classes at the Adult Learning Center, we always start them with an introduction. Every day, everyone's saying their name and some fact about them. And the students would routinely tell me that it feels like a family in our classroom. It's a safe place. It's a place where during the breaks you see them exchanging phone numbers. You see one of them learned about a really good add-on insurance for their apartment, and then you see everyone kind of copying down all the information that they had. So I think those Adult Learning Center classes are a great hub to start reaching out. And then yes, the next question is, how do we get more people coming to those? How do we afford to have more of those? It's a free service, but there aren't enough teachers because there's not enough funding, and there's also limited space where it is. We know we have about 150 going through the Adult Learning Center each year for the past 2 years, but our statistics from even our city website show there are probably around 3,000 people in the city who may not be English proficient.
Yep.
Where are they? And how can we reach them?
Yep.
This is part of what I need to figure out in this job.
And I think it's going to be critical as we move forward as a community, because really these individuals are part of how we can economically survive. They certainly are filling jobs in the community, and we have lots of openings.
Exactly.
And to get them ready to be able to be productive in those jobs is critical.
Yep.
And I don't want them feeling like they're stuck and isolated.
Yes.
But I also I barely know the English language, and so it's hard for me. Right?
Yes.
As an individual, so
right.
I agree with you. It is going to be the challenge, and I don't know how many languages are spoken in Bismarck. I've heard statistics from the public schools. I wouldn't be surprised it's greater than what they are saying.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I could say last year we had 154 students go through the Adult Learning Center. They were from 29 countries and spoke up to 18 different languages altogether. Yeah. So, yeah.
So it is a challenge.
Yes.
And I'm very appreciative that we have you on board for the city to start this process. We're just taking baby steps right now. And
absolutely.
I want to encourage you that that's all we're doing, and the steps will get larger as we move forward.
Yes.
So
thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on Bismarck Insights. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching Bismarck Insights with Mayor Mike Schmitz. If you have specific topics or questions you'd like addressed in future episodes, email mschmitz@bismarcknd.gov or call the City of Bismarck at 701-355-1300. To learn more about the City of Bismarck, visit bismarcknd.gov or follow us on a variety of social media channels by searching BismarckND.gov. Bismarck Insights is a collaboration between Dakota Media Access and the City of Bismarck. You may find Bismarck Insights episodes on Government Access Channels 2 and 602, as well as on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV devices, on Radio Access 102.5 FM and on demand at freetv.org.